It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Let me say it again, besties. It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Let's say I invite you over to my house and I spend the whole day cleaning my house because I want to receive you with a clean house. You come over to my house and you ask for a drink. I hand you the drink and you accidentally spill it. And my first reaction is to hand you a tissue paper and ask you to please clean it because I spent the whole day cleaning my house. Please clean it up. And you tell me, why would I clean it up? It's your house. And we just start going back and forth as to who should clean it. You should clean it because it's your house. You should clean it because you spilled it. Again, just back and forth as to who should clean it. And finally, we just get into a heated argument. You decide to leave my house and we never speak again. It is still my house and the drink is still on the floor. And if I want a clean house, regardless of who spilled the drink, I have to clean it. I cannot force you to come back and clean it. I can't force you to see why you should clean it. And I can't force you to apologize either. Again, it is still my house. Therefore, it is my responsibility to clean the drink regardless of who spilled it. Same thing happens with healing. Regardless of who hurts you, regardless if what they did was horrible, regardless if they should have apologized or they should have gave you closure, the healing part is still your responsibility. Opening your heart again is still your responsibility. Choosing to see the good out of the situation is still your responsibility. And again, you can't force someone to apologize, to give you closure, to stay in your life, but you are responsible for the healing. It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
This is going to come off as a bit more of a tough love, but your trauma is not your fault, but it is your responsibility, right? You owe it to yourself to do your best to try and work through this trauma and how it is you're affecting your current life, right? I say this because I know people who, again, like, I'm not coming from this from a place of like, oh my god, this, that. I was in the hospital twice now for suicidal ideations, right? I am still working through my stuff, but the key word is that I'm working through it, right? I know what my past has done to me and how it affects how I show up, and I'm going to change that because I don't want to give those people from my past the power and the ability to continue to affect my future, and neither should you. Neither should you. But I know many people who, I don't talk to them no more. They'll say, because my dad was like this, or because my mom was like this, or how it was in my home, I am now like this, right? And again, like, our past shapes who we are, but we do not have to continue being like that. Like, for example, I am very scared that people are gonna be mad at me or something like that. I feel like I'm always walking on eggshells when it comes to talking to people and voicing my concerns and how I feel, because that's how it was for me growing up, right? I show up in people's lives as a caregiver because that's how it was for me growing up, and I realized I don't like it, right? But I will not sit down here and tell you I'm gonna continue living my life like this because that's how it was when I grew up. No! Is it hard? Yes. How many years have I been at it? But I'm still doing it. I'm still working through it. I'm not going to give up, right? Because again, I refuse to let someone have so much power in my life who's in the past, right? I think I've seen this on like Reddit too. I think I saw this one post on like r/narcissistic parents. Parents are, I would know. But again, I've been working through it and it's hard, and I know there are people who are also working through it and they feel discouraged, but you cannot give up. You owe it to yourself to not give up. You owe it to yourself. Again, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but sometimes you just need to hear the same thing over and over. You owe it to yourself to continue working through your trauma. You owe it to yourself. Whatever is causing you to you know, what do they have it now? Attachment style, to have an insecure attachment, as I do. You owe it to yourself to show up and work. Like me, I learned that I have fearful avoidant. I don't like all these names. Why? The reason for me why I don't like this name, I used to say it's all woo woo, but the real reason why I don't like names, why I don't like saying it's trauma, even as I'm saying, I don't want to say it, or depression or anxiety, is because then it feels real. And I'm like, ooh, but we need to name things so that we're able to deal with it. Like, I would say I have fearful avoidant, this disorganized. Why? Because growing up, it was disorganized. That's the best way I can put it without saying too much, because yikes. But I realized how I show up in relationships with people. I'm scared to be vulnerable with people, but I want that vulnerability. But then I'll start pulling back and I'm like, ooh, next time. But there's no next time. I'm doing it and I'm doing it now, right? But no, yeah, this is a little PSA that your trauma is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to do the therapy. I know it's expensive. And I'm very lucky I go to Penn, right? That is a place of privilege that I have, that I go to Penn, and Penn has really good insurance. But whatever you can do, do it. I want you to go sleep every night. I said I did what I could do to work through it. Every week you say, I am better than how it was when I started the week. Even if it's like not 100%, you still did something, right? Healing is not linear, right? If you look at like the S&P, the trend is up. There's a general upward trend, but there are dips. It doesn't matter. As long as you can say, in a month time, in a year's time, I'm doing better than how I was before. Good job, Chiquina. You did what you need to do, but you need to do the work. Do not, from this point on, do not blame other people for how you show up. It can be a reason, but it's not an excuse. Especially if you're not doing what you can do, do not lean on it as an excuse, right? I beg of you. You owe it to yourself to be the best version you can with the short time that we have here. Thank you.